And now something completely different.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside Los
Angeles. I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hair loss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality?
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Hey guys, I'm here. I made it. Welcome to the show. Phone number 888-659-3727. Just got into the studio. Crazy day. And of course, you know, when you're running late and you try to put everything together, shit doesn't work. But we're here. Glad to be here. If you're just tuning in for the first time, don't know who I am or why I'm here. Sometimes I wonder the same thing. But this is the Hair Loss Show. I am a consumer advocate for men and women dealing with hair loss. I'm the author of The Bald Truth and the Truth About Women's Hair Loss, and I am a guy who has been dealing with his own hair loss issues for well over 2 decades. You know, I'm going to get right into, I usually do my spiel at the beginning, but, you know, I received a really powerful, poignant email yesterday. It was forwarded to me, and I'm sorry that I'm just talking about it now because actually it was sent last week, but I just received it yesterday. It was forwarded to me by my staff, and it was written by an 18-year-old kid. A kid that actually started to lose his hair at the age of 15. And the reason I wanted to talk about this is that I was so touched by the fact that he was willing to share what he shared with me on a personal level, as well as by the fact that as young as this guy is, and as young as he began to lose his hair, he was somehow able to come to terms with balding at fucking 15. I'm 47 years old, and I still can't deal with the fact that I have to do what I do to my hair to make it look the way that it looks. His name is Lawrence. He lives in New York, and he's been a fan of The Bald Truth for the last 3 years. Initially, he said when he did his research, and of course, I'm giving you the abridged version because it was a 3-page email with images that he provided me. And that's one of the reasons why it was so compelling. When Lawrence was 15, he began to lose his hair. He was obviously in high school, a sophomore in high school. And as you can imagine, being a 15-year-old kid in high school, life is tough enough. But imagine having to go through the initial throes of hair loss at the age of 15. And you know what? I mean, that is not as uncommon as you may think that it is, because it does happen. It can happen at any age after puberty. So this kid began to lose his hair, and he went online and he read everything that he can possibly get his hands on, just like everyone else does, just like any 15-year-old kid would do. And he stumbled onto this broadcast. Now, at the time, 3 years ago, I was not with GFQ Network. I was just coming off of my 12-and-a-half-year stint on radio and working on getting The Bald Truth out there online. He found our little show on Stickham.com, of all places, because that's where I was airing it initially. And he began to listen. He began to, check out our resources and began to, get as much information as he possibly could about dealing with his hair loss and treating his hair loss. And after he began to read the message forms and after he began to, learn what we preach here at the Ball of Truth, he made a decision that I don't think most 15 or 16-year-old kids would make. He decided that he didn't want to live like this. He didn't want to live like me, even though he said he admired what I do and admired me for putting this out there, because if it wasn't for what we provided, he wouldn't have felt this way. He didn't want to live like Joe from Staten Island, and he was very specific about that in his email. He wanted to move on as early as he could because he figured, you know what, if he was hit with this genetic curse at such a young age, it would be a tremendous uphill battle to try to fight it. So instead of focusing on his hair, or lack of hair, or rapidly thinning hair, what he chose to do was focus on his schoolwork and focus on hitting the gym. He had never really worked out before. He was not a jock, as he put it, but decided to really work on his body. And by doing that, by getting into the gym and developing himself physically, he was able to also, I guess, kick in those endorphins, develop himself mentally, concentrate better in school. And after about a year of what he said was rapid hair loss, going from having a full head of hair to significantly thin hair, where he was a full-blown Norwood 2, and a half, the way he put it, with a thinning crown, he just kind of stopped caring about it. He was telling me that he would get all the comments, and that, when he was younger, he was kind of a really good-looking kid. All the girls thought he was cute. He had no problem, meeting women, being invited to parties, being invited out, having girlfriends. When he started to lose his hair, that did change, until he came back after his junior summer, and he really decided to train hard for 2.5 months in the gym, really trained his ass off. And he decided to do one other thing. He decided to shave his head and grow some facial hair. So he said when he came back to school in his senior year, everything had changed. He was one of the most buff guys who was a non-athlete. And the facial hair suited him, and so did the shaved head. And all of a sudden, instead of being the leper that he believed that he was initially, all the girls started to rub his head. They wanted to be close to him. They thought he was hot. They thought he was cute. He was getting a lot more attention again. The reason I bring this up is I know how difficult it is to deal with hair loss at any age, but to deal with it at a young age, to be as mature as this guy was, to say, you know what, I'm going to step back and look at this logically. I may not be able to fight this. This may be far too much of a genetic curse for medication to work. And frankly, at the time, he was too young to take any really effective medication, in my view. So instead of letting this ruin his life like it does for so many young kids, and I understand it, I'm obsessed with it to this day, he decided to turn what most would consider a devastating blow into something that helped him advance in life. He's now 18 years old, and he says that he's on Ball Truth Talk message forums every day. He was considering posting this online for everyone to see, but decided to send me a note personally because he wanted to thank me for giving him the courage to do what he did. Now, he sent me these images. I obviously will not put these images online or show them on the program. But this guy went from a skinny kid in 3 years to, he must be 185 pounds of pure muscle. Totally jacked. Looks like a movie star with a shaved head and his goatee. And you know what? He looks young. He looks a little young to have a completely shaved head. But he pulls it off, and he walks with confidence. He lives his life. And he wanted me to give a message out to all the guys who he sees on the message forum. And maybe he'll call in. Lawrence, if you want to call the program, it's 888-659-3727. We'd love to hear from you. The guys that are talking about committing suicide or thinking about committing suicide. The guys who think that their life is completely over because they're losing hair at a young age. He wanted to tell them, just like what I try to put out there every week, there is life after hair loss. And let me tell you guys, this guy has much more courage than I do, coming out on the air every week with a fucking comb over and hairspray and head makeup and all the shit that I deal with to try to, feel comfortable in my own skin. He said fuck it when he was a boy. And now he's going to live the rest of his life in a successful manner. He wrote, and I'm going back, I'm trying to think of some of the key phrases. I didn't write it down because, like I said, I was out all day. But he admitted that he was much more handsome, what people would consider handsome, when he had hair. But because he decided to take charge, because he decided to get jacked, because he decided to just be the person he wanted to be, he is attracting a lot more girls now than he ever did before. That's one way to do things. That's a positive attitude. That's a guy who decided, you know what, fuck it. I know that this sucks. I'm the only kid in my school who's losing his hair, but I'm not going to let this destroy my life. And that's so difficult, especially for a kid in his teenage years, when you're dealing with just starting to evolve your life, just starting to get out there and find out who you are. To have the courage to do that, holy shit, this guy deserves a medal. This guy deserves his own talk show. When I see some of what's being written on Bald Truth Talk message forums, I shake my head. I feel so bad for these guys. I certainly understand it. The pain that I went through initially, during the initial throes of my hair loss, 21, 22, 23, I was miserable, devastated. It changed my life in ways that I never thought would happen to me. I became so self-conscious and insecure about the way I looked. I never felt that before. Not that I was, any type of, fashion model or anything, but I just never really thought about it. I was just like a regular dude. Got, little girlfriends when I was a kid and played sports and had fun. I just didn't think about it. Lawrence, I just want to say I'm so grateful that you sent me that email. And if you want, I don't know how you feel about this. I'd love to be able to post it, but that's up to you. But, if you want to go onto the message forum and maybe talk to these guys and forget about them going out there and saying that's bullshit and, and getting on your case about it. And not everyone looks good bald and all that stuff. You said that you didn't look as good bald as you did with hair. You admit that and you deal with it. And it hasn't crushed you. Maybe you can give these young guys advice, these guys that are talking about how life cannot go on, how they cannot deal with the fact that they are balding at a young age, how they have become hermits and introverts, and they will do anything they can to get themselves to the point where they can live their life again. But for every day that they live this way, they're missing life. We are not guaranteed tomorrow. And from what I take away from you, Lawrence, is that you were a kid at a young age who understood that. And I admire you. I thank you for writing. And man, you are one guy that is going to be very, very successful in life. 888-659-3727. 888-659-3727. Lawrence, just so you know, the guys in the chat room were saying that you should definitely post your story. Oh, and by the way, just to go back to something that I forgot to say, he did say that, while he goes into the message forum and he reads this stuff, he doesn't go to the message forum as much as he did when he first started dealing with hair loss because it's depressing. And sometimes it kind of sucks him back into feeling sorry for himself. That's not what the message forum was for, Lawrence. That's not what it's supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about a place where like-minded people dealing with the same situation can actually help each other. Help each other deal with what's going on in their lives, not bring each other down, not talk down to each other and argue with each other and all the fucking shit that goes on in the forum. It's sickening. It really is. We provide this forum for people to get help and hope and to understand that there is something that can be done if they choose to do, and there's also a place for them to talk about living life as hair loss sufferers. And of course, there's a lot of testosterone flowing in the forum. Guys are going to argue with each other. Guys are going to be guys. I certainly understand that. But come on, people. Treat each other with respect. Learn from kids like Lawrence. Know that there's life after hair loss, and I'm not bullshitting you. Just because you look at me and you're like, oh, Kobren, you're 47, you still have hair on your head. I have hair on my head because I've been lucky. I've been lucky that treatment worked for me. I've been lucky that I kind of know how to finesse it. I've been lucky that Derm Match works so well, or Topic when I use it, or other cover-up products. Thank God for hairspray, and thank God for booze. Because for me, I couldn't deal with it like Lawrence, and that's why I'm here. But then there are guys who are on the other end of the spectrum who just cannot figure out a way to live their lives. Triple 8-659-3727. Let's take a phone call. See who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
Well, let me tell the audience this. I am the exactly opposite bipolar version of Lawrence. Right now, it's the holiday season. I am in a bipolar state of manic depression at this point. Let me tell you, I've never been more depressed. It really put me over the edge this week was looking at the Adirondack pictures. It really freaked me out, and I don't mean that in a positive way. All I can say is, how sad, very sad. I wish I could be like you, Lawrence. Live just one day. Thank you.
My name is
Joe from Staten Island.
My name is excuse me. My name is
Would you like to may reiterate it?
My name is
Have you heard it? Excuse me.
My name is
Joe from Staten Island.
Joe, listen, I actually thought of you when I got that email, and the fact that he mentioned you, and he didn't do it in a bad way, He just said that he didn't want to live his life like Joe from Staten Island. And, but what I think is important about your contribution to the show, Joe, as bad as you feel about yourself and as fucked up as your life has been, you have given people the other, another perspective. You have given people a look inside a guy that couldn't deal with it to the capacity, in any capacity, that fucked him up so badly that it basically stopped his life. So while you suffered, you would have suffered anyway, Joe, if you didn't start to call this program. Your contribution, in my view, has been profound. It really has. And for all you guys who write and say, why do you let this guy Joe from Staten Island on the show every week? And, it's just boring, this and that. There's a reason for it. And it's because Joe offers people a lot more than I think the average-minded person could really understand.
Well, that's your expert opinion. Would you say I'm the worst hair loss sufferer you've ever dealt with?
No.
I mean that on a psychological basis.
Absolutely not. No. You're bad, but you're not the worst.
Oh, really?
You went out. You ended up having a life to some degree. You got married. You had children. There are guys who will never live even the limited life that you've lived, Joe. And they can only dream to have a life like yours, believe it or not.
Well, to tell you the truth, since I've been retired, I've gotten a lot worse.
And that's what happens, though. I mean, that happens to people in life. I mean, I didn't shave today. That's what happens. You got to keep busy, bro. You got your daily activity is checking out what's going on online.
Yes. I'm not very happy about what I've seen online. When I saw, Kenny's Washenek's presentation in California last week, Mesa, as you know, the pictures really freak me out because what they have to.
Yeah, you know what bothers me about that? But there is,
10 years.
But there is something happening. I mean, God Almighty, why is everyone so fucking negative about this?
Because the pictures are horrific. I mean, there's no hair. There's virtually no growth there.
That's really. Then you must have seen different pictures than I saw. You have to understand that they cut this down to basically almost like a microscopic level. They're not letting the hairs grow into full terminal hairs. They have to make the tap 2 points, and if you count those dots, there is more hair. Period. Than there was at the baseline. How is that not a positive thing? It's working. It's not working it's not growing this full lush head of hair yet. But they're getting it to work. How is that not positive?
Maybe I was just expecting more after 10 years.
Well, dude, believe me, I was expecting a lot after 10 years, after being in this industry for 15 years. I mean, Christ, do you remember the shit that we used to talk about on the first year of the Bald Truth?
The elusive Dr. Go was about it.
Yeah, and now he's out again doing this thing, and there's a core group of people that are, strong followers, and I think that's great. And I will tell you, I have nothing against Dr. Go. I happen to like him very much, and we get along very well. But from his baseline 10 years ago or 15 years ago to now, I mean, there's not much happening in that camp, in my view. It's definitely evolved. It's positive. But to think that what Adirond's is doing isn't positive it's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. You know what? I got a couple of nasty emails, actually, that were forwarded to me the last couple of days. No, about why Ziering hasn't provided images that he claimed he was going to provide, the new histogen images. And I got to tell you, man, I actually spoke to him yesterday. We did not speak about that. We spoke about some other stuff. But I have to tell you that, frankly, if I were these people, I wouldn't give a shit about what happens in the message forum at this point. Anytime they present something, anytime they try to help people, anytime they try to get their information out there, they are brutally criticized by people that don't know fucking shit. So why should they put themselves on the line? Why should they put themselves out there? Why should Craig Ziering present pictures that may or may not be lambasted? And then it becomes personal. Then they start attacking this poor guy who's doing his best to make this stuff happen, to work with the people at Histogen to make this stuff happen.
Well, I didn't mean it as an attack on Dr. Washenek, Spencer. I just meant that I was a little disappointed with what I saw. Maybe I'm wrong.
No. I'm not saying that you're attacking anybody, Joe. I'm not saying that you're attacking anybody. I'm just saying that, I just get a little frustrated at the fucking bullshit that goes on from these guys. You know what, guys? Why don't you go out there and try to figure it out yourselves? You young guys, go to medical school. The guys that are 18, 19, 20 years old, do well in school, go to medical school, figure it out. Make it happen. Become a scientist, become a PhD, do your thing. Dedicate your life to curing hair loss. Instead of bitching at what's happening now, dedicate your fucking lives to curing hair loss. We need all the help we can get.
Well, go to a certain site, you'll see all the scientists on there doing their own things, if you know what I mean. What side I'm talking about. I don't have to mention it.
Look, I know that. Listen, I just think that people have to kind of take a step back and stop bitching at everybody. I'm not talking about you, Joe. Stop bitching at everybody. Stop, speculating about what the reality of the situation is. Stick with the facts. These guys are not investing millions of dollars and hours and hours and hours and years of their time because they don't want this to work. They'll figure it out.
Of course they want it to work. There's billions of dollars to be made.
That's right.
Am I correct? Well, Spencer, I didn't mean to seem harsh with Ken and with shit. As you know, I do suffer from, bipolar disorder. I'm just in a very, depressed mood, and I guess I'm just between the holidays and being a sufferer. I just, I just can't tell you.
Oh, listen, I understand.
I'm just so frustrated, Spencer. Another Christmas. I never thought I'd be talking to you Christmas 2012 and the suffering would still be going on. Would you be thinking that back in 1998 would we be having this conversation in 2012?
No, actually, I really believed that it would be over by now. But listen, when I was a kid, I thought we were going to be, driving around flying cars at this point. So what the fuck do I know?
I'm sorry. I'm a little upset also. I spent today reviewing last week's show, which I missed a portion of, as you know, and people were spreading rumors that I was dead. That kind of, hurt me too a little bit. Freaked me out today.
Well, they know you're not dead. I wouldn't worry about that.
And the way I viciously attacked Johnny for no reason, I apologized to him on the air for that. I didn't mean it. It's just that I was very upset at the time. So holiday season, Spencer, it all gets to me, man. It just brings me down. The whole deal,
But you know what's funny? And you say that every holiday season, but you're down throughout the entire year. It could be fucking Arbor Day, and you're going to be depressed.
Well, Matt, if you could send me to a doctor to treat me, man, I won't be that depressed.
What do you think? I would send you anywhere you want to go. It's just nothing has worked for you so far. You will not be happy with what hair restoration, what surgical hair restoration can provide you with today. You're just not going to be happy with it. So what's the point? Back in the day, I offered to send you Australia to have a minimally invasive, what was then, before FU was really known here in the States. And that probably wouldn't have helped you at all because, Dr. Woods is extremely conservative and you would have just been more depressed. But the hair would have looked natural. I've offered to, help you out and get you a decent hairpiece. You're 55 years old. How old are you? 52?
54.
You're 54 years old. Do you really think that if you had a great hairpiece and you walked around with a great hairpiece that no one would know? You think that how can that be a bad thing for you? You're married, you don't have to worry about someone finding out as far as touching your hair. If I was able to get you into an undetectable hairpiece, how is that a bad thing? Why wouldn't that help you move on with your life, Joe?
Well, I don't know, Spencer. I'm just waiting for the day when a real treatment comes out. I have all my, a lot is pinned at allergen right now. I'm expecting an announcement any day from them.
Well, we all want that, Joe. We all want that. We all want that, bro. But do you think that if nothing happens in the next 10 years and then my meds stop working and I can't pull off the comb over anymore and there's no other options and if I don't have enough donor area or whatever, the worst case scenario, do you think that I'm going to walk around bald? There's no fucking way. I can't deal with it. I'm not Lawrence. I'm not some of these other guys. I want to have hair in my head. And I will glue it on. I will paint it on. I will do whatever it takes to make myself feel better. But I tell you what, I'm not going to stop living. I'm not going to stop living because of it. I'm going to live my life. This is all I got. This is what God gave me. This is my time on this earth. So if I have to do whatever I can to make myself feel comfortable within reason, without hurting myself, I'm going to do it. And you know what? There will be people that joke about it. They joke about my hair right now. What do I give a fuck? But there will be people that, that fuck with me. I'm a quasi-public person. But you know what? When I walk out during the day, when I live my life, even now the guys that joke about, because I'm very open about it, I don't see people looking at my hair. Period. I feel very comfortable for the most part of my own skin with what I'm doing. Most people, I don't mean to cut you off, most people wouldn't do what I do. Go ahead.
Well, I'm a hair loss expert. The average layperson, you have to know, no discernible hair loss. I mean, you look like a normal person with a beautiful head of hair. I mean, that's God's honest
So, do you
truth.
think? And I thank you for that. But I don't know how to take that
I'm being honest.
I don't know how to take that normal person comment. But do you think people who are balding don't look like normal people? They are normal people.
Well, they are the majority of people.
That's right. They are the majority, man.
The abnormal people are the ones with full heads of hair, or the abnormal people, statistically speaking.
Yeah.
Am I correct in that now?
Say that again.
Am I correct in that analysis that a person with a full head of hair, an older person is really abnormal?
That's right. That's right. And follicularly challenged said it right. What would be the difference if I shave this off and put on a hairpiece that looks even better than this crazy mop that I have to work with? I'm going to look the same, probably better. And no one's going to fucking... But no one's going to care. That's the thing. Yes, I'm going to have to, take the shit off and look at myself in the mirror every week and, drink myself to sleep that night. But it's not going to hinder my life, And frankly, if I had to date again, if common law leaves me at some point, which is always possible, do you think that I would allow that or my fact that I wear concealer on my head or whatever it is to stop me from screwing and having fun and having company? No fucking way, man. No way. I will go through the women until, even if every woman that I go with says, "Oh, wait a second, what's up with your hair?" I'll find one that doesn't give a shit.
Well, you think your wife would leave you if you lost your hair, Spencer? I don't think that's the case.
No. No, I'm not saying that my wife would leave me if I lose my hair, and I have lost hair, a lot of it. But I'm saying that if, there are other reasons why she would leave me. I'm out of my fucking mind. I work 24 hours a day. 24 hours a day. I must have worked 16 hours yesterday.
Wow.
So, there are times when she wants to spend some time with me, whatever it is. She wants to go out with friends, and I can't do it. So, and she gets on my case about that stuff. But you know what? I'm working towards our future. So to me, I'm a very driven person, and I don't feel like I'm finished yet with doing what I need to do to make sure that life is, financially is completely smooth for the rest of my life. So I'm very, very driven.
Yes, you are very driven, but I hope you make little time for your wife anyway. She's a beautiful woman and a great person. I obviously won't mention her name on the air, but I've met her several times.
I appreciate it. I think I make plenty of time for common law, but there are times when I'm sitting in this studio, maybe had a little too much to drink, doing some editing, whatever it is, and she's like, "What the fuck is going on? Why are you in here? Take some time off. You can do that tomorrow." And I'm like, I got to finish this segment. I mean, I'm crazy. That's not such a bad way to be. I'm sure there's a lot of women out there that would love their husbands to work their balls off to make a living.
Well, you do work very hard, Spencer. You work 7 days a week, I understand.
That's true. That is true. And it's so hot in here, I did not turn the air conditioning on. These lights are so hot, so I may have to take a break in a second. But Joe, look.
Once in a while, you take a damn day off. You're attacked by the hair loss sufferers. They don't even give you a day off.
Honestly, dude, when I take a day off, it's not even a day off. It's like I'm just not doing the show, but I'm working all day, and I maybe have to go to a dinner, or I'm at a family event, or whatever it is. And I know Christmas and New Year's fall on a Tuesday this year.
Yes, right.
So I don't know what's going to happen. I'll probably take off Christmas. And by the way, I understand there was some bitching going on about the UK show that, people were in the chat room today saying, "Where's the show? Spencer promised a show." It's starting soon, guys.
You said December 11th. You said next week.
Right. We've actually pushed it back to the 18th, and I was going to announce that.
Okay.
But we have some very special stuff happening, and I actually have a UK number that I can give out if I could find it. If there's anybody who's actually listening and watching right now, I guess it's like 2 a.m. there. And wants to call in. Let me see if I have that number available. This is a fucked up number, man. I mean, I don't know how these people function in Europe. It's 02 800-3372 4663. I'm sorry, 4683. What kind of phone number is that? What kind of phone number do these Europeans have? Like, is there an area code attached to it? How does it work?
I don't know. Maybe is it toll free?
No, it's a local UK number that is then sent over here to the States. So there's a local charge. Most people don't have to pay local, most phone companies don't charge for local calls anymore. So, and I'll have Andrew put it into the chat room or somebody. So in case you guys are in Europe or in the UK, you can give us a call.
Well, so before we take a break, you got to congratulate the UK listeners on Prince William's having a child.
Mazel tov, guys.
I hope he doesn't have his genes, though.
Mazel tov, dude. Come on. You know what? As much shit as he gets, he still looks pretty good. I probably wouldn't do the Charles comb over that he's doing. I know he's kind of like following his dad's footsteps, but his dad has actually better hair than him. But I mean, I don't know. Can the prince shave down? Would that be appropriate? I think he will look great with a pretty close cropped head, shaved off that little top that he's got going on there.
Well, the late Princess Diana's father was a Noah 6. That I've studied, past photos of him, and that's where the William gets the gene from.
Dude, he's going to be the king of England.
But when he's the king of England, I'm sure there'll be a cure by then. He'll have a full, beautiful head. He'll be one of the first people to get it.
And then he'll be able to wear the crown all the time. He'll probably just get drunk and wear it everywhere he goes. I'm just kidding. Don't send me any letters from Buckingham Palace. Listen, Joe, before I take a break, I'm going to take another phone call, all right?
Well, do you want me to give one piece of quick news? Would you mind?
All right, one quick piece of news.
There's a gentleman, a doctor in New York City called Dr. Dresden. He's been nominated 4 times for Nobel Prize in cell therapy. He's now conducting clinical trials in New York City at this moment as we speak on generating some type of hair multiplication with cellular therapy. This guy's not a quack. He's a 4-time, Nobel Prize nominee. Now, he never won it, but he was nominated 4 times. I don't know if you were.
Well, you know that if I had a law professor, if I contacted, and I know a couple of law professors, and said, hey, listen, dude, do me a favor. Nominate me for the Nobel Peace Prize. I could be a Nobel Prize nominee. Now, I'm not saying that, this was the same scenario, but, unless you win,
well,
not necessarily such a big deal.
Some type of credentials. He's not a quack. I'm just saying he's conducting trials in New York City as we speak.
No, it's exciting stuff.
Excuse me?
It's exciting stuff. I'm just busting your balls.
Oh, no, that's the only news I have tonight. I know you have other calls on the line, so could you guys stand by?
All right, Joe, you could stand by.
Okay, smooth tracks a little bit. Chip, chip, cheerio, chaps. Fine lads out there.
Jesus. 888-659-3727. Hey, who's this? You're on the air.
Hey, Spencer.
Oh, shit. George, man. How are you?
Hey, it's good to hear your voice. Hey, Joe.
Joe's actually on hold.
Well, just wanted to call quickly and say hello and see how you guys are doing.
Well, more importantly, how are you doing?
It's been a rough couple of months, man. Ever since I lost my friend in his early 50s, so that friend of mine was bipolar that, died at 53.
Yeah.
Talked to him on a Monday night and a Wednesday night, his ex-girlfriend calls me and they found him dead. And it was really depressing. It took my immune system down. There's really serious flu and respiratory stuff going on in Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia. It's all over the national news. Everyone in my family's sick. Parents are sick. Father's been relapsed. My sister's sick.
Oh, man.
I caught the stuff because my immune system went down, and I fought with it for a month, and then one of my cats got sick. My vet thinks he has cancer. So it's just been a sucky, really depressing couple of months. And then when I called in tonight, I heard Joe, and I wanted to put a bullet through my head.
Well, I am sorry that you're having such a rough time, bro.
Hey, it's
really
life,
am.
man. You know, you keep waiting for things to smooth out so you can kind of like get back on stride. And I'm quickly realizing at this point in my life, at the age I am now, that there's never going to be a time where everything's smooth sailing. There's always going to be some kind of we're either in a crisis, coming out of a crisis, or heading into a crisis.
That is life, you know, and that you have to kind of like break things up into. I think that's interesting that you said that, because you have to find little gaps where you can find some happiness and appreciate. Okay, at least I'm not in a wheelchair, or if you are in a wheelchair, at least I have the use of my arms so I could roll this wheelchair, or whatever. You know, you got to kind of find little gaps.
Absolutely, man. And I kind of, when I got sick and all this other shit happened, and I was sick for a month, and then the family's sick, and then the sick cat and all that, and on top of all the rest of the crap in life, I suddenly, I got in this deep depression. I didn't realize that I was, feeling I was in this really defeated, depressive mindset. And after I wallowed in that, and couldn't sleep for about a month, it was just, really rough. And then suddenly I got mad with myself, because I thought, why am I letting all this BS bring me down like this? And then I looked at the guys coming back from overseas, from our illegal, unconstitutional, undeclared wars, for oil and whatever, coming back, blown to bits. Every time I turn on the television, almost every week in Mobile, there's some poor country woman who lives in a trailer out on the outskirts of the city, talking about how her poor son, she's 35 years old, and her 18-year-old son just got killed in Afghanistan or something, and she's talking about how he died a hero when we know he was just a victim of the New World Order. It's really depressing, but I see that kind of shit and I'm thinking, I'm not in a concentration camp. I don't have any limbs blown off. The stress has been so bad, I realize now I got to get to a dermatologist. I think I got full-blown scalp psoriasis, got these big scaly scabs coming off my scalp just from stress, man, just fucking stress.
I'm sorry to hear that.
And, well, dude, but when I look at all this shit, and I'm thinking, God, Sunday night on 60 Minutes, they had this North Korean guy that they interviewed who was born in a concentration camp in North Korea. His brother and mother in there, but he had no relationship with them. They were like basically total strangers. And this dude ratted his mother and brother tried to escape. He ratted them out to get some extra food because they lived in constant starvation. The North Korean goons hauled him outside and made him stand there and watch while they hung his mother and shot his brother and blew his brother's brains out.
Wow.
And this guy felt nothing because he had no relationship with them. He was kind of like raised in this camp where they were starved and beaten constantly. And his dream was just to get out of there so he could get enough fucking food so he wouldn't be starving all the time. One day he was taken out in the woods to gather firewood, and his co-worker with him said, "Screw it, I'm going to try to escape." The guy pulled down 2 wires to separate them, was immediately electrocuted to death, and this guy crawled out over the top of his body through the wires. Escaped all the way through China, all the way down into South Korea, or I don't know exactly where that wasn't South Korea. We went down to, I guess it was Vietnam or something. Anyway, he ended up finally getting away from the goons over there, and he's like 30 years old. He's been adopted by some American family. But they interviewed this guy to see the shit this guy went through his whole life to survive. And I think, I'm letting this little bullshit bother me. I'm letting my
poor George has to paint his scalp.
Yeah,
and he has to paint his fucking head so he can look like he can continue to look like a fucking model. Poor George.
So what? Yeah, poor little me. And I saw all this shit going on. I thought, you fucking asshole, you stupid asshole, feeling sorry for yourself and being depressed over this niche shit crap, when there are people out there going through what these guys are going through just to survive. And I got angry with myself. I got pissed. I thought, what is this wimpy bullshit? We got the New World Order taking over the entire world. With the countries being taken over by the leftists and the Marxists.
And you're
The whole country's going to hell in a handbasket.
you're afraid of chlamydia.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I mean, come on, George. I love you, man, but I'm glad that you're coming to this, you know, realization, this epiphany of sorts that, you know, maybe you're going to live your life a little bit. You know, maybe you'll take a drink. Maybe you'll have a steak for a change. You know, maybe you'll.
It's funny. A couple of months ago, my attorney, who was doing a bunch of pro bono work for me in this battle I've had against the government for 7 years, which I won, and it cost me $250,000 to beat the son of a bitches and the evil government, and yet they still won't pay me what they owe.
Oh yeah, good luck.
Good
luck getting that judgment, dude.
The government's a bunch of fascist fucking cocksuckers. I'm sorry, that's just what they are. They're evil to the core.
Well, good luck getting a judgment from anybody, but yeah.
Oh yeah, my lawyer, who's fought the most evil insurance companies for 26 years and acts as an accident attorney, he told me, he said, the shit that I've seen. He took my case over after this evil lawyer sucks like $40,000 out of me and then told me he'd won my case but couldn't force the government to pay me what they owed me. He couldn't put a gun to their head.
Right.
So I had my buddy, my attorney in town that had on my car wreck injury 10 years ago, take it over, and he looked. After he got to fighting these people, he said, looked at me. He said, "I didn't believe you when you told me these people were evil." He said, "In 26 years of practicing law," and he's rated like top rated in the country in his field. He said, "I have never dealt with this level of," he said, "this is the most egregious, evil shit I have ever seen what these people have done to you." I said, "Welcome to the U.S. government. Welcome to 1984. But I suddenly realized, that all this shit going on with the country imploding, the Marxism, the socialism, the invasion of our privacy, the surveillance society, all this crap, it's, we're turning into fucking North Korea here. All this shit going on, and I'm worried about losing my hair.
Listen, we're all worried about, and listen, we could try to put things into perspective that way. It's beyond worried about losing your hair, George. We're all worried about losing our hair. We're all fucked up over it, but it's about stopping your life, putting your life on hold because you have some hair loss, or not trying to find a solution that would at least get you through life. Things might not be perfect, but you're able to, like, from what you tell us, you're able to paint your head, dummy it up, and you walk around and young hot chicks are giving you the eye and talking to you. What's so wrong about that?
You're right, exactly, and I've gotten where I'm just not worried about that right now because there's bigger fish to fry. And I was talking with my lawyer about all this shit, and he told me, he said, he says, I'd tell you to go out, and I got kind of stressed out one day talking to him, and I was about to have a panic attack about some of this shit, and he said, I'd tell you to go get a bottle of whiskey and get drunk. He said, but I know you don't drink.
Yeah.
So
I would tell you to go get drunk and go get a couple of hookers. That's what I would tell you. Go get drunk and go to a massage parlor and enjoy yourself because life is fucking short. Not, only if it's legal, though. I do not advocate illegal prostitution. Go ahead.
Well, I look at the suffering, over the holidays, I thought, I just need to get the focus off me. I gave a turkey to the food bank, because I don't eat meat, and I want to try to focus over the holidays on doing some stuff for the local Salvation Army. I always give money to them, for the local waterfront rescue mission and some of the drug rehab centers, and just give them some food, help them out some. Try to get the focus off me so I don't feel sorry for me, And I'm like Joe, man. I mean, when I was a child, right now in the background, I got the sound turned off, is the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer thing that I watched the whole time I was growing up. This thing came out like 1965.
Oh, yeah, the claymation one. Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And this shit, I watched, this thing came out the year you were born, which I guess was 65. I was 3 years old. I watched this thing the whole time growing up. It's funny, I watch this thing now that, it's been digitally restored in high def. And I look at it now. When I was a kid growing up watching it, I always enjoyed it because it was like the beginning of the holiday season.
Yeah.
But when as a child, Christmas was a real happy thing.
Yeah.
Because that's before life kicks your ass.
That's
before
right.
your grandparents got sick and died. That's before you went through all the shit in life that scarred you mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, whatever. And when I watch this thing now, it's just hard not to look at it and not feel depressed because it makes you it kind of makes your mind want to go back to a time when you were a kid when you didn't have stress and loss and sadness and shit going on in your life. I'm kind of like Joe. Holiday time used to be really, really happy for me, and as a Christian, I'm happy because of what it represents for me, but it's sad in that I think about how it was when I was a kid versus how it is now. When you get to be our age, life starts taking stuff away from you.
Yeah, but forget about our age. It starts to happen as soon as you realize, as soon as you become an adult, life changes completely. Right. And for us, for hair loss sufferers, and I was a young hair loss sufferer, the depression started relatively early. So, all that stuff when you're a kid, the stuff that you don't appreciate, the stuff that you take for granted, the freedom, not having to worry about making a fucking living, that alone is unbelievable. When I hear these kids, and I have, friends with children, they're bitching about school. Those were the easiest fucking times of my life. School was a cinch, and I wasn't a great student. I mean, I went to a really pressureful private school. They really expected a lot of you scholastically. And, I kind of skated by because I was apparently smart, but I didn't really put a lot of effort into it. But, it was easy. It was fucking easy. It was like, what do? You get up early in the morning, big fucking deal. You walk to school. You got to sit there and do your stuff. You do your homework. I did a lot of my homework during lunchtime, whatever it is. And then you get to leave at 3 o'clock. And then you have basketball practice or baseball practice, whatever sport you're playing, which is, I played both. And it's just fun. There was never any pressure. And kids today, I mean, I guess there are kids out there, during our days who really didn't love school at all. But to me, it was just easy. It really was. I had one issue where the 60-minute clock still fucks me up on Sunday nights because usually on the weekends I wouldn't do my homework. And as soon as I heard that clock, my dad was watching 60 Minutes on our black and white television. It was already 7 o'clock, and it gave me anxiety that the next day was Monday. To this day, I can't watch 60 Minutes because of that.
Dude, I used to experience that same thing. Like whenever there was, but it was a college for me. I mean, whenever I had like a lot of shit coming down on me, and I was pre-med at the time, and I was like totally stressed out. My OCD and ADD was just, and I was there on 2 academic scholarships, but the OCD and ADD was eating my fucking lunch. I mean, I just couldn't focus because all the anxieties and shit in my life, I just couldn't focus. And it was driving me crazy. It was like being on a torture rack. And on Sunday night, when the sun went down, and I knew that there was all this stress coming or test the next day or something, it was like this black shroud of depression and anxiety that would start to descend on me.
Yeah.
And I remember 60 Minutes was a trigger because that was like the beginning of nighttime.
That's so funny. So I'm not the only one, but I still actually get a visceral reaction when I hear that clock.
I do too. I mean, it's very, very strange. It's very bizarre. These parallel things and experiences that we have. But I'm trying this holiday season I'm just going to try to do as much for hungry people and for if I can find some way to do something for the troops coming home or something, these poor bastards coming back with parts missing. And people I've talked to, these guys, I've talked to people that had, that were like in military families or knew what was going on, talking about how little money they made and how hard it was and how they were all friggin' starving. So, they were so desperate financially to the point that the kids saw how much their parents, the military parents, were struggling, that children were even committing suicide because their families were so financially
Dude, what about this? I don't know
out.
if you saw the story. There was a former Marine, a guy that actually fought in Afghanistan, who was working at like a Unimart, type of, AM/PM type of place. Guy tried to rob him, and he ended up, taking him down. That made national news. But this is a guy that fought for our country, that was a well-honed, well-trained killing machine that is no longer retired from the military and is now forced to work at like an AM/PM as a cashier. Think about that shit.
It's sickening.
It's disgusting.
And when you consider the New World Order fucks that are in control of our country that will not enforce the borders. And I got news for all you liberals out there. Language borders and and culture is what makes a country. If you don't have a fucking border, like these other countries, if you try to go into their country, they'll throw your ass in the fucking hole, and you'll stay there until you rot eating rats and shit, or the rats eat you.
Right.
But they ought to take these guys from the military and pay them good money and put them down there on the border and protect our fucking border from these drug thugs.
That's actually a really good idea. As important, but
have
as important. I don't mean to cut you off, George. As importantly, how's my hair tonight?
I'm on the phone, dude. I'm not looking.
Oh,
at you. I don't.
Damn it! Well, you know who wants? George actually wants. I mean, Joe wants to talk to you. So let me pot him up, and then I have to take a break. All right, man.
Hey, yes, I appreciate that. So thank you and your staff for putting me on. George, I just want to say hi to you. I want to say we really missed you. We were really worried about you, Spencer and me, and Johnny from Ohio. And
it's really nice to have friends that care about you, Joe. I really appreciate that a lot. I went through a couple of months of really serious depression, still dealing with it, and I just was at a point that I was so depressed I didn't even feel like listening to the show. I had nothing.
Why? The show's uplifting. You know, I'm one of the stars of the show. I'm very
Oh yeah, you're a very uplifting guy, Joe. I mean, come on. You know how many people have probably really thought about committing suicide after listening to this show because of you?
Oh my God!
Do you know how many alcoholics are suffering and dealing with the fact that they have a drinking issue because of you? Come on, Joe.
Well, Spencer, I hope to spread that to the UK starting November the 18th.
Dude, you can't. I told you can call in, but you cannot be as big a part of the show as you are here. You are part of the U.S. show. Now, what's interesting about the UK show is that we're really going to hit the ground running. We have some great celebrity guests. Actually, our first guest is going to be Jason Gardner from Dancing on Ice, and also he's really well known in the UK as kind of like a Broadway celebrity. He was willing to open up and have talk about his surgical hair restoration on national television there. Really, in my view, started the entire conversation for hair transplantation in the UK. And we're excited to have him on. And we got some other celebrities lined up. So I really think that the show in the UK is going to, like I said, hit the ground running, but kind of take off in a big way because the UK is just waiting for this, man. They are chomping at the bit. They are just, to them, this is all new. You know what I mean, Joe?
What do you mean? The world of hair loss is all new?
The world of real powerful hair loss education is pretty new. Especially.
How long have you had this UK thing in the works, Spencer?
I have been talking about it with Andrew for 6 months.
Well, congratulations for making this happen. I've been so out of the loop. I didn't even know this was going on. But, I mean, what night of the week are you going to be doing your broadcast?
Same night, dude. Same day. It's Tuesday. It's going to be at 11 a.m. my time here in the U.S. And, of course, that's 7 p.m. GMT time, which is UK time.
So wait a minute. So you're going to, is this the same program we're listening to? It's just being broadcast over there, or are you doing a separate program?
It's a separate program, completely separate.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you guys want to hang out in the afternoon, that's great. But it's going to be a separate program, open to UK callers. We have a UK phone number, which I can give out, but I can't even say it properly because it's a bizarre. I mean, it's like, look at all these digits.
Crazy phone numbers over there.
Listen to this number, 02033724683. How do you even give that out?
The beginning of it, man, is a country code, but the rest of that crap, I don't know how their area code things work and all that. There's a country code.
Yeah, but no, the country code only works when you are, like if we were to call the UK, we would have to add 011 plus this number. That would be the country code. This is actually a local phone number for people in the UK. Now, if someone from France was calling, they would have to add whatever country code the UK has, from calling from another country in Europe. So the whole thing is fucking confusing to me. But this is the number. It works. We tested it out. It rolls over into my system. So anyone in the UK, and of course Europe, it would be cheaper for them to call the UK number than to try to call me directly. And actually, we can't. I don't even think the Europeans can get into my 800 number. UK guys can, but other Europeans can't. So I'm rambling, but I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Congratulations, man. I'm really happy for you. I'm glad you're going to be able to help those people.
You know, we're going to have our my sidekick for the show is going to be Spencer Stevenson, who's Specs online. And he's got that great British accent. You know, he's out there. He's really made a name for himself in the UK, and I'm excited to have him on board. And I just think it's going to be a lot of fun, Joe. So if you want to call in once in a while, Joe, with your English accent, your British accent, that'd be fine.
Well, I'll call in with different pseudonyms. I'll be Charles from Manchester, Spencer. Well, you can see things like you chap.
Jesus.
Chip cheerio, you cute Spencer.
All right, listen, guys. I'm gonna put you guys on hold.
One thing quick,
I gotta go. I gotta cut out, man.
All right, George. Listen, I'm so glad that you called. I'm glad that you're coming out of this funk. And is there anything that we can do to help? You know, and I hope just by calling in, it helped you a little bit tonight. Just don't hesitate to contact me.
Knowing you guys are there, Joe, thanks a lot for noticing I was missing in action, and it's good to hear from you. And I hope you guys are doing well. Tell Johnny from Ohio I said hello, and Suncast and Andrew and the rest of the bunch. I'm glad you guys are doing well.
George, email Spencer your number. I'll be glad to talk to you on the phone on a personal basis.
Yeah, you really think he wants you to have his fucking number, Joe? Come on.
I would, I'd be happy to talk to you sometime, Joe. I appreciate that. I'm trying to get some stuff straightened out in my life right now, and I just got to. Got a lot of personal issues going on, so I'm just trying to deal with it. So, look, Spencer, thanks for the time. It was great talking to you. Sorry for the kind of rant that kind of didn't relate to hair loss, but kind of did relate to hair loss because the whole thing exacerbated my scalp condition.
Dude, it all relates to hair loss. It all relates.
Yeah, it really does. But tell your significant other I said hello, and I would love to observe someday how you do Christmas, because I think she, being Panamanian, she's probably Christian, isn't she?
She's Catholic.
She's Catholic,
yeah.
And she's doing the Christmas thing, and observing the birth of our Savior. And I realize that.
You know what she does on Christmas for me? She lights a menorah and puts on her sexy Santa, the elf costume with the garters. That's Christmas. That's Christmas in our house, man.
Works for me, man. So I hope you guys have a great one. I'll be talking to you before then. And, Spencer, try to get some rest, man. The holidays, I know you got a lot of stuff going on. You're launching this new gig, but take care of yourself, get some rest, decompress a little bit.
Dude, I'm decompressing right now on the air. You're just not watching it.
Joe Tronick is ready to call in. He's ready to attack me.
All right, I'll tell you what. I will take his call, and then I have to take a break, guys. George, thanks for calling in. Always a pleasure. I'll talk to you before Christmas. All right.
Take care, guys.
Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. 888-659-3727. 888-659-3727. Whoever was on hold has just hung up. Thank you for that. So I can take a fucking break. We're going to take your calls when I come back. 888-659-3727. And if you're in the UK watching the show, let me give out this number: 02-033-72-4683. Now, how am I going to do that every week? Luckily, we're going to have it on the screen. It's a crazy number. Europeans, man, the whole thing is nuts to me. In England, you got to drive on the steering wheel's on the right side. How is that normal? Jesus. We'll be right back.
The man who's helping to make hair loss history.
They wish to cure us, but I say we are the cure.
It's Spencer David Kobren.
Hey guys, welcome back. 888-659-3727 is a toll-free number. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm Spencer Kobren. You're watching and listening to The Bald Truth, self-help radio for guys, and of course, for girls who get it. Comb, I'm not sure if I originally heard this on Don and Mike, because at the time when this bit of production was made, I was actually on WJFK in D.C. So it's possible that my producer heard it originally on the Don and Mike show and then said, hey, this is great for the Bald Show. It's very possible. 888-659-3727 is a toll-free number. Give us a call here at the Bald Truth. If you have any questions, concerns about your hair loss, it is almost, it's the holiday season. It's almost the new year. Everyone has New Year's resolutions. Honestly, I hope that some of you guys who are dealing with the emotional aspects of hair loss, like we all are, can kind of come to grips and say, you know what? This year I'm going to live my fucking life. No matter what. Whether histogen is happening, whether Adirance is happening, whatever it is, whether you can't afford a hair transplant or you're going for a hair transplant or whatever, I want you guys to figure it out this year. Now, believe it or not, I've been thinking about, first of all, I have to lose weight. That's my resolution, to get back. I lost a lot of weight. I put some of it back on. I got to get back on that wagon, for sure. And I'm thinking about, believe it or not drinking anymore. What do you guys think about that? I don't know if I can do this show if I'm not getting a little loaded, to tell you the truth. I may have to fucking retire. I don't know. But I'm getting to the point in my life where, all right, I know the beer is not helping with the weight. It's probably not helping with my mood, sometimes. But mostly out of vanity, I guess. I definitely think that if I had, cut my drinking back, that I will eat less and, probably be healthier in this next chapter of my life. Now that I'm getting closer to, I'm 47 and a half. And I act like a fucking kid half the time. Joe Tronick will attest to that because he was actually at the compound a few months ago, and we were all having a little fun, maybe a little too much fun. Staten says that he will die. Staten. Joe says he'd die without drugs and booze. Let's pot Joe up. Joe, so what do you think about that? Do you think that I should just give it up, or maybe give it up for 90 days or half a year or whatever it is, and see how I feel?
Well, Spencer, the stress of your job and the way you're always, attacked and the things you have to deal with in your industry, I'm surprised that you're not an alcoholic or a drug addict, to tell you the truth.
Well, you know what? I'm surprised too, honestly. Coming from where I come from, coming from the fucking family that I come from, coming from the stress of that alone, and then all the other distress that I dealt with, with tragedies in my life, and
your brother Alan, yes, I know.
And losing my mother relatively young, and all kinds of stuff that I've dealt with. Yes, you're right. I think the only reason why I'm not a drug addict or an alcoholic, and maybe the alcohol thing may be questionable to some people, but because I do, I do like to drink. There's no doubt about that, but I think it's because I always had so much responsibility. I always had to make a living from a very young age. So there was nobody that was going to hand anything to me. I come from a family that, my dad worked very hard and he supported us very nicely, but it wasn't like we had much. You know what I mean, Joe? So I had to kind of figure out a way to do it on my own. So
I understand it.
Yeah.
But wasn't your alcohol addiction and your early use of drugs having to do with your hair loss predominantly? Wasn't that the predominant factor?
Well, I would say that my alcohol use and my, smoking pot and stuff like that definitely had to do with my hair loss, for sure, and depression because of my hair loss. I don't think, and I would be the first to admit it because I don't have a concern about this. I think that if you have a problem, you should admit it. I don't think I was ever addicted to anything except for maybe sex for a while when I was younger.
Addicted to sex?
Yeah, I had to screw as much as I could. Part of my healing process and making myself feel better was to be able to find women, no matter, even though I was dealing with hair loss, I still needed to, be with hot women. That kind of made me feel better in my life. That's an insane. Wow. That's an insane thing. But and I was part of going to the bars and all that stuff. And I was very young. I mean, you're talking my early 20s, early to mid 20s, when it was really at its worst.
Well, now you've obviously changed. You're magnanimous for one beautiful woman.
Magnanimous? Yeah, I'm magnanimous. I am. Yes, I believe. It's monogamy. Yes, I am. I am monogamous. That's.
I mean, your wife is beautiful. She's an asset to you. She helps you in your business. What more can you ask for? She's a nice personality. She's just a damn nice girl. I wish I had one, man.
I appreciate that, Joe. Yeah, she's a great. I lucked out with her for sure. But I've changed a lot over the years. But maybe just. I think I'm going to. I'm not going to be able to do the UK show drinking because it's going to be in the middle of the afternoon. I refuse to do that. So maybe I'll just carry that on to the second broadcast on Tuesdays and just kind of like not drink with Andrew and on the free for all. And honestly, that's where I do most of my drinking is when I'm doing the show, and that's kind of when things start. So,
well, Spencer, why don't you just ingest Xanax or Valium for the UK show? I don't mean to cut you off. Some kind of benzodiazepine drug,
benzodiazepine. Yeah, you're so funny, Joe. There's no fucking way I would do that. I told you, like when I was younger, I would take my dad's pills and stuff, and I was actually prescribed some stuff when my brother when my mother died first, and then when my brother died, and it's not for me, dude. Pills are not for me. It's too easy. It's easy access. It's like it doesn't smell, and most people don't know you're on it. It kind of takes the edge off unless you take too many of them. And I can see myself like, all right, it's 2 p.m. Things are a little tense. Let's pop a Xanny. Not for me, dude. I don't want to live that life.
Well, Spencer, I'd recommend it because it's calorie free and it has a narcotic effect. And you're saving all those calories and it doesn't dehydrate your body. It's very beneficial. I'm not a physician, but I would recommend it to you.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I could tell you that, I plan to do my best to try to keep my health at this point in my life. Like I said, I'm 47 and a half years old. So we'll see what direction I go in over the next few months. I do certainly want to get back on the training more. I mean, I worked out today, I trained today, but I eat a lot. So I go up from I got all the way down to 185 at one point, and now I'm back up to like 195. I mean, my highest point was like a little over 210, maybe 215, close to 215. So I want to kind of get back down to being lean and just feeling a little bit, because as you get older, as you even though I'm not really heavy, you put a little extra weight on, it makes you more lethargic. It just, and food really fucks you up, man. Food is, it's your medicine. It could be your poison. Anyway, Joe, let's take a phone call, all right?
Yes, Spencer. Thank you very much for the time. I appreciate that.
You got it. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
Yes, hi. I'm looking for Spencer Kobren. I called the other day, left a message. I was hoping he's available.
Oh, shit, man. I forgot to call you back, bro. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, dude. What's happening?
Oh, Spencer, it's you. Oh, hey. Yeah, glad I caught you.
How are you, man? What's going on?
I got to give you some shit, man.
No, it's all right.
I'm good.
Honestly, I forgot. I totally forgot to call you back.
That's okay. Whatever. It's all good. I'm not worried about it. I knew we'd talk soon anyway. I'm good. Got back from Europe doing the consultations in Italy and London, and had a blast for the 3 minutes I had to myself.
Right.
And it was a madhouse, but it's always good to go. And
so when you say madhouse, I mean, how many consults did you do, say, in Italy? Were you in Milan?
We did 2 days in Milan, 2 days in Rome, and then 2 days in London.
Wow.
And over the course of 6 days, we did about 140 consultations.
That's insane, man.
Yeah.
That's insane. The power of the internet, right?
The power of the internet. It's
Jesus.
within your grasp.
That is really insane. So I mean,
it was. It's insane, but it's always worth it because I'm like the biggest fan of Italy. Bad day working in Italy is better than a good day off in Vancouver, as far as I'm concerned. or anywhere else as far as that goes. London's fantastic. I love London.
You probably did a lot of drinking and a lot of eating in Italy.
You know, okay, this segues back into your conversation about, you know, quitting drinking and all that nonsense you're talking about. Since you saw me in September when I was in your studio, I've lost another 15 pounds.
Oh my God, good for you!
And it's because I have gone on a mission to regain some former glory of my pre-40th, you know, era.
Right.
And I was actually inspired by my best friend back east in Tennessee that did this for himself, and he's now a bodybuilder. Jesus.
Really?
But I don't want to go that far. But I've got a personal trainer. He's got me on nutrition to where, you know, I'm carb cycling. I had very little carbs. Actually, today was the first time I had carbs in about 5 days. No processed sugars, which before I started doing this, I thought was complete bullshit. I didn't want to deal with that.
Right.
But it works.
Oh, yeah.
It's phenomenal, the transformation I've gone through in just, like, since you saw me in September.
Wow.
And I'm really happy about it. I'm excited about it, and I still do drink every night.
Wow. So what do you drink every night? Like wine?
A glass of red wine, sometimes two.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty common. You know, that's, most adults do.
And, you know, my personal trainer was like, you know, cut out everything, including alcohol. I was like, kiss my ass. I'm not going.
That's not going to happen. I'm working in hair transplantation all day. Are you kidding me?
Exactly. I got to talk to people about why, you know, cancer isn't worse than hair loss.
Right.
You know, it's something that I encourage you to do. You know, I wish you all the luck with it. It helps to get a personal trainer because it's
not going to. The personal trainer may happen, but the drinking's not going to happen. Let's face it.
Common law is your personal trainer. I mean, she knows about this. And
yeah, but I'm thinking about just I have a gym in the house. I'm thinking about just getting somebody in here and just, you know, kicking my ass for at least 30 days.
It is so worth it. I can't stress that enough to you. So good on you.
All right. You know, like I said, I'm older than you are. I'm older than, at this point, I feel like I'm older than most people. But, you know, you definitely see the change. There's no doubt. Like when I was 35, 36, I can train, you know, just like minimally, 3 or 4 days a week, just lift, you know, moderate weights and run. And I was just jacked. You know, but now, unless you really focus on your diet and really focus on training the right way, you know, the muscle's still there. You know, in clothes, it's okay, but it's just not the same.
Right. Yeah, it's not the same. And you know, I've done this a few times myself, like, you know, getting hardcore training, all that stuff, and I didn't do it right. The first step is nutrition.
Yes, always.
You know, you try to eat right when you don't know stuff. You know, look stuff up on the web and all that, but you don't know until you actually sit down with a professional that knows what the hell he's doing. And this guy opened my eyes. I look at food so much differently. I look at everything so much differently.
Now, is this guy, you know, into having you have like at least 1 gram of protein per lean body weight mass or whatever? Yeah.
Yes, and I do that. I am matching and exceeding my body weight with more than 1 gram per pound.
Now, I've heard kind of mixed, you know, information about that. There are some people that really believe in that, and some people just like, you know, if you're getting 35 or 40 grams of protein a day, that's all your body really needs to build and maintain muscle, and anything over that is overkill and in some cases could be harmful. And then you have the camp that believes that you have to get at least a gram to 1.5 grams per pound of lean body mass. Otherwise, you can't build muscle.
Yeah, well, his philosophy is about a gram per pound to maintain with a good solid workout regimen. I'm on a 4-day split.
Right.
Workout Monday, Tuesday, and then take Wednesday off. Thursday, Friday, take the weekends off.
Right.
But once you want to really start pounding on the muscle, that's when you kick it up to 1.5 grams or even higher.
Right.
But you also slowly introduce carbs back into the diet on a more regular basis. So it's a combination of things. I'm not an expert, so some of the things I'm saying might not be, you know, exactly what he's telling me, but
right.
You know, he reminds me every week. So
Yeah.
He kicks my butt.
And, common law knows all about that. Now she's at the point where she believes less in the amount of she really believes now that if you have a moderate amount of protein, enough protein to actually maintain your muscle is, for a man, is probably, for guys our size, I'm heavier than you, for sure, and slightly taller than you, not much. She thinks if I get 45 grams of protein, that's all I'm going to need. I noticed that the muscle does maintain, but I have a lot of fat over it. So, who knows? I may get back into the gym and say, you know what? I'm going to go for the, gram and a half and see what happens.
Well, keep in mind that the reason I'm doing this is because I am carb cycling.
Right.
So because I have very little to no carbs in my diet, this also helps to prevent, the lack of the lack of carbs from degrading my muscle mass as well.
Now, how's your brain functioning on this diet?
For the first probably week and a half, I was kind of foggy.
Right.
And then it was like a light switch went on, and my
don't
my
say that.
body adapted.
Everyone's going to blame it on Propecia now. Don't say foggy. Don't say brain fog. Go ahead.
Then I got erectile dysfunction temporarily, and then that'll be Propecia too. But
come on,
no,
Jesus,
no,
God forbid.
I was a bit slow. I was a bit tired, and but then like a week and a half later, it's like a switch went off, and my energy came back up suddenly, and my body adapted. And
so what you're saying as a professional is I should just lay off the beer and the Jack Daniels and maybe switch to red wine.
That wouldn't be a bad idea.
All right.
You got a lot less calories in wine than you do Jack, for sure.
But I like beer, man. That's my thing.
I like beer too, but that's where your carbs come in, and
And this is a full blown Heineken. This is not a Bud Light. This is a Heineken. It's about as heavy as you can get as far as
I
beer.
am familiar with that in the house there. I am familiar with that brand in your home. Anyway, but that's another story. But it's a big change that I'm going through, and I'd like to see you go through it too. I'm behind you, man. I
appreciate
support
it.
you.
Well, I just feel that I'm getting to the point where I should not be teetering, close to 200 pounds at this point in my life, and
we're getting older, man. We need to start being a bit more responsible for ourselves.
I'm going to be 50 in 2.5 years. Think about that shit.
Yeah.
That's insane. That is insane.
Getting older, my friend.
That is insane. And we have one friend that refuses to age, by the way.
Yes, we do, and I think he's doing a pretty damn good job of it too.
It's actually amazing.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
He's my idol in some ways. So.
Well, that guy, I've never seen anybody get laid like that.
Yeah, he's a machine.
With young, beautiful women. And he's like 55
Not
years
half
old.
his age.
No, more than half.
More than half his age.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane. I'm like, are you sure you're not paying them, dude? I'm just kidding.
And on to another subject.
Yeah.
Congratulations on the UK show.
Thank you so much, bro.
I'm really excited about it for you because, dealing with the UK on a regular basis and having just come there and seeing, 60 guys, I know how big this is going to be because the UK right now is ripe for some sort of professional level voice of reason about what's going on, and the UK is filled with so many hacks. It's ridiculous.
Well, what I would like is I would like you to be active on the program. Hassan Wong definitely has a presence in the UK, and I think that people need to hear from you guys. People need to hear from Joe Tronic.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'll be happy to participate. But I kind of want things to, I want it to launch, and then maybe I'll chime in at some point. But
well, sure.
I can't stress to you enough. This is going to be a big deal, and look, when I was over there, I had this guy walk up to me. He didn't even know I was going to be there. He thought it was just Dr. Wong and our consultant, and his jaw dropped, and he's like, "I didn't know you were going to be here," and he wanted his picture taken with me.
Dude, you're a fucking hero, man.
I'm a hair guy, dude.
Yeah.
Come on. Come on. I'm a hair guy.
How do you think I feel?
God bless him. He's a super nice guy.
I got guys in Jazzies. I'm at the mall. Guys in Jazzies. I'm at a Starbucks with Common Law, sitting outside in a mall, and this guy's like going around me in circles, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And he's like, you're Spencer K, right? And I mean, he was a really cool guy. He's probably watching the show right now, but that's the kind of, I mean, it's when you're in this world and there are people out there who are suffering and admire what you do and you've helped them in some way, you are a celebrity, man.
Yeah, and it's super flattering. It's just I like to put things in perspective, and I worshiping guys in this industry, or I don't want to say worshiping, but idolizing. It's like, you know what, look at your own path, find what's best for you, and I can understand, but at the same time, it's always made me kind of uncomfortable. Because
it's
still, I'm a hair guy.
It's a weird thing. Like I was at a local Morton's restaurant, and the guy actually called in. I had no idea that he was waiting on me, and he called the program and said, "Hey, I just want to let you know that you came to a restaurant that I work at." Or he said something about, I think he said this really cool couple came in that I waited on, and for whatever reason we didn't. We weren't waiting on them properly. I forgot what he said. But anyway, there was an issue where we weren't served right away. And we've gone to this place many times. He ended up being our waiter. And he told me this whole story. And he goes, you know who the person was? And I said, who? He goes, it was you. I waited on you. And this is a friend of the show for a long time. And he had enough respect for me and Common Law not to even say hi, which he could have said hello.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of shit that happens. You never know, Like Common Law says that, Norwoods are always staring at me.
Norwoods.
So it's kind of like the Fight Club. They know what's going on, man. They know, so you're walking around. Believe me, there are people out there that know who you are. They recognize you. They may not even say anything.
I've had a few people say, I had one guy years ago when I first started saying that he saw me out in the wild.
Really?
At a Denny's.
That's awesome.
I was just like, what the hell have I got myself into?
Dude, it's a huge, we are catering to a huge demographic.
It is. And, one thing you say online or say on the show, and I just love this saying, it's, a silent epidemic of biblical proportions.
Right.
And it's true.
That's right.
It's true. And, we laugh and we make fun of it, but at the same time, it does suck. I mean, I'm talking to a guy right now that's having, problems dealing with his issues of the worst kind, and you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
We don't need to realize it, but it's tough, and it's not just tough for them, but it's also tough for us, you and me, talking to them because we want to do more, but we can't.
It's interesting when you're dealing with these guys, you're trying to help them. There is a subset of guys who will turn on you no matter what you've tried to do for them, which is bizarre as well. So sometimes you have to, and over the years, now I go into this as, like, all right, if I get involved with this person, is he going to end up being my worst nightmare? Is he going to end up being a guy that just hounds me until, I can't take it anymore? Or is he going to be a guy that's going to turn on you online, because they've been damaged. These guys have been harmed. They've entrusted their lives and their looks and their emotional well-being in the hands of someone who claimed they were going to help them. And then they come to us and they're like, wait a second, are these guys legit? Even though they spend time with us. So it's a very tricky situation that you're involved in, man.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, I'll tell them not to have surgery with us or anyone, and they're like, "What's your angle?"
Yeah. What do you sell?
What are you getting out of this?
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Yeah, I know.
But and apparently there's a subject that Bald Jerry's is dying for me to talk about, and that's Joe from Staten Island.
Okay, let's talk.
And I heard him mention this to you on one of the previous shows about his position on cancer versus hair loss.
Yes.
And Joe, I know you're listening, and Jerry's listening. I really don't give a damn what you think about the difference between hair loss and cancer, but your timing with your comments was very inappropriate.
Yes,
I'm
I
talking
agree.
about a good friend of mine.
You just went through something.
With stage 4 lymphoma, and you're saying it's better to have cancer than hair loss.
Yeah.
You saying that is like a kid with Tourette syndrome at a funeral calling the lady in the casket fat. It's just not right.
Yeah. No, and Joe, I potted you up, by the way. I agree with Joe Tronic 100%. I hate the fact that you kind of, I always say it's a cancer of the spirit because that kind of adds the, to the profound impact of what hair loss does to us. But the truth is, when push comes to shove, there's no doubt in my mind, as a normal, rational person, I would much rather deal with what I'm dealing with than have to deal with cancer.
Yeah, I mean...
Well, I'm sorry.
Go.
Joe, I apologize. I didn't mean anything about your friend. I didn't put the two together. I wasn't trying to talk about your friend, but you misunderstood the whole thing.
Well,
I just think he was very sensitive at the time.
It was the timing of it, Joe, because I
apologize for that.
Yeah, well, then that's fine. I accept your apology and I appreciate it. Timing is everything. Words and context is everything, and I can understand where you're coming from. I know hair loss sucks, brother. I've been there. I mean, I don't have a full head of hair, and I had two botched hair transplants, bald as hell, and I look like an idiot. And I dealt with it for 9 years. I know where you're coming from. But in cases like this, I think there are more important things.
Joe, if I could be diagnosed with a certain form of cancer, receive radiation, and live 20 years as a normal person, or 10 years even as a normal person, I would accept that diagnosis.
And you know what? I understand that point.
That's my opinion.
But what you're assuming is that the radiation will work.
Right.
In this case, there's a strong chance that it won't.
Yeah, I mean, this particular guy, Joe's friend, is dealing with a stage 4 lymphoma. I mean, they caught it at the basically at the end point.
Yeah. Yeah, and
how old is he?
Just over my age, 44.
Yeah, I mean that's so fucking scary, dude. That is so. And part of me is like, then why would I even think about quitting drinking? What's the point?
Exactly. It's like, damn, give me another bottle.
Yeah.
Is there an IV for that?
But I should do something more low calorie, you're right? So like just maybe some wine, and stay away from the beer. I'm going to do that.
I've always been one that appreciates good red wine. I mean, I worked in fine dining for several years, 20 years ago.
Right.
But I have found a much stronger appreciation for inexpensive red wine, because there's so many good ones out there right now.
Oh yeah, sure.
I mean, the one I drink now, it's a Shiraz. It's Painted Turtle Shiraz. It's like $10 a bottle.
Yeah, actually, Common Law gets Painted Turtle brand wine.
See, yeah. There you go. It's outstanding.
It is outstanding, and I actually like $2 Chuck from Trader Joe's.
Not familiar with that one.
Yeah, $2. They have wines for $2, and they actually have some pretty good wines. They're $2 a pop for an entire bottle.
The thing about Painted Turtle is probably like $7 across the border in Washington State, but there's so many taxes and alcohol in Canada. It's $10-11 here. But anyway, I can't stress this enough. I mean, a nice glass of wine at night or two.
Are you kidding me, man? If it wasn't for alcohol, I'd never get laid.
Well, we all need what we need. I mean,
not me. It's what she needs.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I mean,
alcohol and blindfold, and I get lucky.
Hey, nothing like the good first date toolkit, a good ether rag, and your gold. I'm sorry, did I say that on the air?
But Joe, I have to tell you that we all get your point, Joe. But the truth is, if you were really faced with it, I don't believe you would feel this way. If you're really faced with something that was, go ahead.
If I could undergo a surgical procedure and be cancer-free, I would accept that and live a normal life. I have no possibility of living a normal life the way things are today. This is the point I'm trying to make.
But part of the reason you don't have a possibility of living a normal life is because of your brain, because you're unable to somehow figure out a way to just deal with what you're dealing with. You are unequipped emotionally. You're unequipped, I guess, physically, because you definitely have some issues. And I think over the years, the fact that you've been treated with so many different medications, plus you drink, I think that has changed your brain chemistry as well, making things a lot worse than they might have been if you never, partook, so to speak.
Well, Spencer, I'm virtually a paraplegic. I don't know if Joe Tronic is aware of that. I live in bed. I mean, I don't know if you know the extent of my problem. I don't think you really understand.
It's hard.
I was not aware of that, Joe.
It's hard for anyone to understand, Joe. Let's face it. But you're not a paraplegic. Let's face it. You came out to Blog World. You were walking fine. You looked relatively healthy. You looked a little thinner than from the last time I saw you 10 years ago. The whole rag on your head with the surgical mask was a little odd, but I certainly understand that you have some issues.
And you've noticed me going through my pouch many times.
Plus, the guy had like a fanny pack full of pills, man. You'd walk around, you heard the pills jingling.
Sounds like a what do we call the Mexican? The little things that you shake.
A piñata, yeah.
No, not a piñata. The
maracas, yeah. Yeah, he was walking around like he had a maraca in his fanny pack, and he had these crazy shorts on with like these little white socks. It was awesome.
Well, Spencer, I made a real effort to get out there to see you and to meet Andrew and the guys from Queens.
And you know what? Andrew fucked up too. He didn't even put you on the list.
Yeah, I know. You see, your guards, like monsters, they're ready to pounce on me.
So somehow Joe from Staten Island was able to talk his way into Blog World without paying, which I thought was pretty impressive. And I think that showed a lot of ingenuity, my man.
That's just confidence.
Well, part of my psychosis, Spencer, I'm a compulsive liar.
Yeah, but you walked in there with some swagger. You had your crazy hat on with the shorts.
You walk in like you own the joint, and they won't even say anything.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, I turned around, and I saw Andrew pointing at Joe, addressing his point to basically like he was mouthing to Coco. Let's put it that way, saying, "This is Joe from Staten Island. This is Joe," and no one could believe it. It was pretty awesome. Joe, you definitely made an impression.
Well, I hope to come again next year. I came. Spencer's hard for me, but I really want to see you because I love you, man. You know that.
And I definitely appreciate that, man. I don't think that first of all, Blog World is no longer Blog World. It is New Media Expo, and the New Media Expo is no longer going to be doing events in New York. Just
going to be
just Vegas.
Vegas.
Yeah.
Could be worse.
Well, when you come to New York,
they're growing.
Dinner.
I know that. You know what? The next time I come to New York, I will we'll get the guys from Queens together, and we'll all go out to dinner in Manhattan, or even in Staten Island. What's the best steakhouse on the island in Staten Island?
There is really no steakhouses on Staten Island.
Still standing.
Yeah, well, still standing.
There's really no steakhouses in Staten Island. There's just various restaurants that serve steaks.
Really?
If I would come to Manhattan, I want to inconvenience you guys. Especially.
Well, you know that Morton's was bought out, and they completely changed their atmosphere, and the menu slightly changed, but they no longer have that old school steakhouse Frank Sinatra thing happening.
That's a crime.
Isn't that a crime?
That's a crime.
It really bums me out. I don't want to go there anymore.
No.
Well, we did in there a few times before, but I go anywhere, Spencer, just to be around you. Can I just ask Joe? I'm confused with Joe trying about one thing. Is he Canadian or American? I still can't figure that out.
I am an American.
Oh, you're an American. I thought
I am an American. I moved to Canada a few years ago, but born and raised.
He's from the South, man.
So.
Yeah, I'm from Tennessee.
Are you a dual citizen or not yet?
No, I'm working on it. In fact, Joe, my dad is from not too far from where you live.
Really? Where does he live? You can't say that on the air.
Well, he's from Jersey.
Oh.
Bloomfield, Bloomington.
Interesting.
Oh, is he a sufferer, your father?
He was, yes. And ironically enough, for many years, he took Lonitin as his blood pressure medication, and you know what Lonitin is,
right? Minoxidil.
Yes, minoxidil.
And this was back in the late '80s, that his doctor switched him to something else, and he lost all of his hair. He was already kind of thin. He was like a thin Norwood 4. But then once he stopped taking the medication after God knows how many decades, he quickly accelerated to a 6, and then by the time he passed away, he was a full-blown 7.
Wow.
You're insinuating that his ingestion of the oral Lonitin was preserving his hair.
That's exactly what was preserving his hair.
It's a very interesting point.
Yeah, and I didn't put two and two together until many years later, after I was working here in Vancouver, and I started to learn about Lonitin, and I actually had a patient fly from New Zealand to have a consultation with us, and he had shown us his Norwood 6 pictures in the virtual consultation that he had with us. And he flew here to have a consultation to show us the results he had with Lonitin in some witch's brew that he was using. And the guy had, I can't believe I'm telling you guys this, he had the closest thing to a full head of hair recovery I've ever seen.
Really? What about the potential side effects from taking Lonitin?
Yeah. Well,
orally?
before anyone starts dropping a load in their pants, they need to understand that there are side effects with it that I think are scary, and that is heart palpitations. Just a whole list of cardiac side effects.
Well, cardiac side effects, and also, it really leads to a tremendous amount of water retention for a lot of guys.
Right. Yeah.
Wow, I'll get my prescription tomorrow.
Basically, look at the side effects of minoxidil and multiply that by 50.
Right.
And that's where you are with Lonitin.
Yeah, but
I considered taking it, but I decided not to.
Yeah, there are guys who have been on it. There were guys from the old regrowth who, were taking Lonitin, and then they got on, spironolactone, both topical, and then some guys were actually taking it orally. It's insane what you see online. And to this day, when you read the forum and you see what people are doing to themselves, and and the risk that they are taking, but they're afraid to fucking take Propecia, it's insane.
They have a grocery list of things that they're taking.
Right.
And it's not... I had a guy in Milan show up. He's like, I don't understand that. I've been losing my hair. I've been taking all these, like saw palmetto and Spiro. Right. And he's like, I don't get it. I'm still losing my hair. What's wrong? Yeah. I'm like, well, this list. Let's take this and throw that away, all right? And,
but they're not afraid to take spironolactone. Even, guys are taking it orally, but they're afraid to take finasteride.
Yeah.
It's fucking wild to me. It really is. But you know what? Look, it's none of my business. You don't have to take finasteride.
That's the power of the internet, Spencer.
Yeah, actually, yeah, it is. But you don't have to take finasteride, guys. Do what you want to do. The likelihood of you progressing and losing your hair, even with all this fucking kitchen sink bullshit that you're putting, on your scalps and ingesting, is probably pretty high if you're not taking something that actually works.
Yeah.
But, all right, guys, listen, I got to close up shop. Joe Tillman, Joe Tronick from Hassan and Wong, also the great Joe Tronick, obviously, from the online world, the original hair loss mentor. Always a pleasure when you call in, dude.
That's
I apologize again, Joe. I'm sorry about that.
Hold on.
Joe, it was great talking to you. We got this worked out.
You just interrupted what Joe was saying, Joe.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, what were you saying, Joe?
Thank you, Spencer, for the great send-off. That's
sure.
Very much appreciated, and great talking to you always. Good luck with this workout thing.
Oh, thank you.
Call me if you want to know anything I've learned. I'm happy to share it.
I appreciate that.
Joe, I'm glad we had this talk.
Should I put before pictures online? Do you think that would be too much?
I considered doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But I deleted them because I hated the way I look.
Yeah, I'm not that concerned about that. I just know that people are just going to fucking be like,
dude, you put before pictures online, you're done. They're never gone. You'll never be able to get rid of them. They'll show up on gay porn sites.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Just to mess with you.
When I have my shirt off, I look like an old wrestler.
And I'll deny it to my last breath.
I know exactly what you're saying, dude.
Yes.
All right, man. Listen, take care. Brush your hair. I'll talk to you later.
All right, my friend.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Take it easy. All right, Joe, man, I'm going to close up shop. I got to get out of here.
All right, Spencer, that's a good idea. I'm thinking about the oral Lonitin now. He gave me an idea.
No, do not do that, Joe. Come on, it's not going to help you at this point.
Oh, I see. All right, Spencer, one other quick thing I would like to put in for Christmas night off, if you don't mind. My wife told me to ask you if that would be all right with you.
Yeah, we are taking Christmas. It's not Christmas night. Yeah, it's Christmas night. We are taking Christmas off, so don't worry about it. Even though I'm a Jew, and there's plenty of people that don't like that fact out there. But I'm just joking. I'm actually not joking. I've gotten some crazy hate mail over the years. I am taking Christmas off because common law is Catholic, and Christmas is an important holiday for her and her family.
All right, Spencer, all I could say is God bless you, man. You are truly a gift to mankind, and I haven't said it in a while.
All right, Joe. I appreciate it. Same here. Ditto. And I will talk to you soon. Guys, let me give out the websites, thebaldtruth.com, of course. And listen, the UK show, the live show, starts on the 18th. We're doing some taping next week, which we will put out online with some very interesting stuff that I think you guys are really going to like. We're going to put up a new page, a separate section on thebaldtruth.com specifically for the UK show, which, of course, will have the UK phone number and all the information about times and so on and so forth. So we're looking forward to that. If you are a guy or a lady dealing with hair loss and you want to interact with other hair loss sufferers, go on baldtruthtalk.com. It's a great place to kind of share share information and to find like-minded people dealing with the same issue. However, there's also a lot of bullshit on there, a lot of crap. Okay, try to read between the lines. There's a lot of really good people providing great advice and sharing their hope and their strength with each other. And then there are the crazies. That's just the way message forums are. So just, understand that when you go and you participate on a message forum, you're going to get all kinds. That's what it's all about. Until next time, I want you to be strong, God bless, and thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the programme, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid. Thank you. Good night.